a comprehensive look at trends, fund profiles, and more in Exploring ETFs.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year. Welcome to Exploring ETFs. I'm Neena Mishra, and today we are talking about the top performing ETFs of 2020 and what drove their performance. It remains to be seen whether they can continue their excellent performance this year as well. But let's take a look at some of them. So, 2020 was a great year for the stock market and the ETF industry as stocks, particularly in certain areas, surged even as the pandemic ravaged the economy. The Dow was up 7.3% in 2020, the S&P 500 rose 16.3%, and Nasdaq was again the best performer, handily beating the other two major indexes. It surged almost 44% in 2020. And looking at the sector, the tech was again the best performing sector. It was up almost 40%, and energy was the worst performing, down 37%. So the main reason for very strong rebound in stocks following the coronavirus-induced sharp plunge in late February and early March was the swift extraordinary action taken by the monetary and fiscal authorities, both the Fed and the fiscal authorities. They launched the biggest fiscal and monetary stimulus in history, which were aimed at supporting struggling businesses and individuals. Now, of late, the rollout of very effective COVID-19 vaccines and the recent approval of a new fiscal package, they have further boosted investor optimism for the economy in 2021. But we should remember that widespread distribution of these vaccines is still months away. And so the path of the stock market going forward may depend on how effective the rollout of these vaccines is, and also on the control of the Senate following the Georgia runoff elections, because stock market in general likes a gridlock. So if the Senate is also controlled by the Democrats, that may not be very good for the market. Now, looking at the top performing areas of the market, there are three clear areas or clear themes. Solar and clean energy ETFs did very well last year, and that was following their excellent performance in 2019 as well. But looking at the performance over the past decade, it has been very volatile. Now these ETFs and stocks got a boost because the cost of renewable energy generation has been falling in recent years with continued technological innovation, and that has changed the competitive balance between clean and traditional energy. And then rising odds of a blue wave further boosted these stocks because Biden has pledged to spend $2 trillion to combat climate change. So again, this whether these ETFs can continue to do well going forward would depend on the control of the Senate. Then the other theme is ARK ETFs. Three of the ARK ETFs were among the top 10 ETFs of 2020. Our group did very well in 2020, but they have been among the best performing active ETFs over the past few years. Last year was excellent for ARK investment. They gathered a lot of assets because of this excellent performance. We'll take a look at their best performing ETF too. Now, the third group is the stocks and ETFs, which got a boost from the pandemic. So areas like e-commerce and cloud computing, because people were stuck at home and they were shopping online for their needs. And because people were working from home, companies were using more cloud resources, cloud computing resources for their employees. Now, these trends, e-commerce and cloud computing, they have been gaining momentum over the past few years, but the health crisis accelerated those trends. And going forward, these areas may continue to do well because we may see a permanent shift in consumer behavior towards online shopping, because that is just more convenient once you get used to it. And even cloud computing, because cloud computing is more efficient, cheaper than and more safe than traditional computing tools. And remote working or flexible working may also become a norm even after the health crisis is over. Now, let's take a look at some of the best performing ETFs in these areas. So, the first one we are taking a look at is the Invesco Solar ETF, ticker symbol TAN, which surged 235% last year, and it was the best performing ETF in 2019 as well. It holds pure play and medium play solar stocks, and it has a large asset base of 3.6 billion now, charges 69 basis points in expenses. Now, other clean energy ETFs like PBW and QCLN also did very well. But let's take a look at 10. I did a video on solar and clean energy ETFs some time back. So if you want to learn more about the other ETFs in this area, you can watch that video. But looking at the 10, you can go to the code page on Zacks.com. You can read our article, research report, and I also did a podcast on 10 some time back. You can go to the external homepage using the link on our code page and look at the details, what it holds. It has a lot of international exposure. So definitely it is going to be volatile. 46% US and about 24% China, and then other countries, and a lot of exposure to mid cap and small cap stocks. So that also will uh, increase the volatility of this ETF. So that is something you need to keep in mind if you decide to invest in this ETF. Looking at the top holdings, Enphase, Solar Edge, Sunrun for solar, these are among the top holdings, and all these have done very well over the past couple of years. Now, the second one I wanted to highlight is by ARK. It is the ARK Genomic Revolution ETF, ticker symbol ARKG. It gained more than 190% in 2020, actively managed, and has gathered a lot of assets in 2020 because of the excellent performance, and has 7.5 billion in assets now. Now, two other ARK ETFs did very well, ARKW and ARKK, which gained more than 150%. And they surged in part due to Tesla's excellent performance. We know that Tesla had an enormous rise and it continues to rise. And Tesla is the top holding in these two ETFs. And ARK CEO Kathy Wood has been a Tesla bull for a long time. So her ETFs benefited from Tesla, from excellent investment in Tesla. I have done a video on genomics ETF also, so you can watch that video. But let's take a look at ARKG. And we can go to the external homepage using the link on Zacks.com and look at the details and its top holdings: Pacific Biosciences, Teladoc, CRISPR Technologies. Again, all these stocks have done very well in 2020. That is why this ETF did so well in 2020. Now, the third one I wanted to highlight is the e-commerce ETF. And all e-commerce ETFs did very well, including OMLN. This was the best performing in the group. It gained more than 124% last year. Now, this holds companies which derive more than 70% of their revenues from online or virtual sales, follows a modified equal weighting scheme, and has 1.44 billion in assets under management, and charges an expense ratio of 65 basis points. Again, to take a look at this ETF, you can go to the quote page on Zacks.com, and you can go to the external homepage using the link and look at the holdings and other details. So this has about 76% exposure to the US, and rest is international. And within those two geographical buckets, the holdings are weighted equally. So equal weighting means it has a lot of tilt towards smaller mid-cap companies, and it is not dominated by the e-commerce giants like Amazon and Alibaba. And again, I did a video on e-commerce ETFs too, so you can watch that video to learn the differences between iBuy and other online retail ETFs. Now, looking at the top holdings in this ETF, you will see Revolve Group, Groupon, Stitch Fix, Lyft, Real. These are the top holdings in this ETF. The last one I wanted to highlight is cloud computing. Again, this area which benefited a lot from the pandemic-driven trends. Wisdom Tree Cloud Computing ETF WCLD is the best performing cloud computing ETF in 2020. It gained over 110%. This also follows an equal weighting scheme and holds emerging cloud companies, not so well known cloud companies. It has asset base of 1.26 billion and charges an expense ratio of 45 basis points. Other cloud computing ETFs are Cloud, SKYY, and ICE. They also did very well, but WCLD was the best performing. And I have done a video on WCLD, or sorry, cloud computing ETFs too. So you can watch that one for more details. And you can go to the quote page on Zacks.com. From there, the external home page, and you can look at what it holds. Cloudflare, CrowdStrike, Blackline, Workiva. These are the top holdings in this ETF. And I have also done podcasts on the cloud computing ETFs and e-commerce ETFs, so you can listen to them to learn more. And in full disclosure, I buy a WCLD in the ETF investor portfolio that I manage. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out Zacks.com/promo for an interesting offer. And I'll see you next week.